Hello all YouTubers, I am the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this tropical storm beta coverage for September 21st, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest forecast and best forecast from the Weather Dude, then please, every single one of you that is not subscribed, please click the subscribe and the ring and the notification bell so you guys stay up to date with the latest The Weather Dude content. And also, please watch the whole video. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for 1,000 subscribers. It really does mean a lot to me. And this is taking the next step towards monetization, so please watch the whole video. It really does help out my channel a lot. And also, please give this video a like and share this with your friends. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. And we are tracking Tropical Storm Beta today as it is making its landfall on the southeast coast of Texas, and it's taking a long time. I gotta say, it's taking a very long time. It's moving only about a few miles an hour. It's not completely stationary, but it's moving very slow. It may not leave Texas. The storm center will probably not leave Texas until overnight Wednesday into early Thursday. So you better believe that it's going to be around for a long time. Keep in mind it's only Monday. It may not leave Louisiana until early Friday. Late Friday will be all the way up in Mississippi. But still, this thing will be still a tropical storm for a long period of time. It actually has been weakening as it got closer to Texas, even though it's over water. Like I've been saying like I said in my 21st hurricane season discussion, it went through a lot of shear. I think that was the big problem, was the shear. Dry air wasn't horrible, but there was some. But I think the shear was the main problem. The ocean temperatures were perfectly fine though. But still, nonetheless, it still will be a dangerous threat. All right, we got high tide. I high tided some spots. I think it was like around 11 o'clock this morning. I think it's for some spots. So that's when we had our high tide. Actually, it could have been later than that. We have our tropical storm force winds here, 90+% chance. So obviously, we're having tropical storm force winds pretty much anywhere in this eastern Texas coastline. Louisiana, as you get farther from the storm center, those chances go down. So actually, the high tide was 6 o'clock this morning for Galveston, and actually there will be another high tide, in 3 hours. So that's when you need to be prepared. Be prepared for some more coastal flooding here. I will be pulling up some more maps as well. We have our wind history, so as you can see, anywhere shaded in orange has seen tropical storm force winds. That includes parts of southeastern Texas, southwestern and south central Louisiana coastline. And if we take a look at this a little bit more closely, you can see it comes on shore Texas, 40-mile-per-hour winds, but this is moving inland, well inland here. We could still see 40-mile-per-hour winds as it heads inland over Texas, gusts close to 50, all right? And we do have storm surge warnings from Galveston through Texas City, all the way down to just outside of Corpus Christi here. And anywhere shaded in teal is seeing tropical storm force winds. Now keep in mind, this storm isn't like mighty strong, but I mean, we're seeing tropical storm force winds as far away as Victoria, Texas. Keep in mind, there's the center right now. You got Bay City, Lake Jackson, all the way up into Houston and even the Woodlands, all right, as well as Galveston. And just outside of Beaumont, we are seeing tropical storm force winds anywhere shaded in that teal color. So yeah, you better believe there's a big wind field with this system. Key messages, all right. Slow motion, there's going to be a lot of rainfall. It could be several inches. I'll be showing that to you guys very shortly. We got life-threatening surge and tropical storm force winds across Texas coast later this evening, and we'll be continuing into Tuesday as well. Again, here's your storm surge warnings. Texas City, Galveston, down through Corpus Christi. Yes, your storm surge warnings. How much surge? Well, it's a lot. All right, especially for a very weak tropical storm. The surge actually, briefly they were saying 3 to 5 feet, but I thought that was a little bit too much, and in fact it was. Capano Bay, Aransas Bay, we got San Antonio Bay, Matagorda Bay, even Galveston Bay as well. All right, 2 to 4 feet of surge, which is a lot. All right, usually a Category 1 hurricane usually produces 3 to 5 feet of surge, and that's a Cat 1 hurricane. This is a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm, so 2 to 4 feet of surge is a lot. And the reason that is because this is coming in at high tide. I think that's one of the big factors here. But all the way across the south coast of Louisiana, even the east coast of Louisiana through Ocean Springs, Mississippi, including Lake Pontchartrain, still 1 to 3 feet of surge. All right, so it goes a long way from the center. Keep in mind, the center is out in here somewhere, and we're seeing surge all the way back in Mississippi. You know why? Because all the shear is pushing all the convective activity toward the right. So Louisiana has actually been getting the most rain out of this. So all these banding features have been coming up on shore, and all these bands have brought like gusty winds, and that's been pushing the water onshore in Louisiana. So even though the center might be here, some of the effects have been all the way back in Louisiana over here. Still 1 to 2, 1 to 3 feet of surge from Port Aransas points south towards the mouth of the Rio Grande. Corpus Christi, 1 to 3 feet of surge as well. Additional rain. This is anywhere from 8 o'clock tonight, so starting in 1 hour, all the way through 8 p.m. on next Saturday. So this is basically additional rainfall we can see, not including any rainfall for the, because as I'm recording this, it's 7 o'clock, so this excludes any rainfall that we get in the next hour. But this is basically saying additional rainfall. Parts of eastern Texas here, we can still see another 4 to 6 inches. Even the south central coast that just got hit by Laura, we can see yet another 4 to 6 inches, but widespread, I think a good 2 to 4 inches additional. All right, and even a couple pockets of orange in extreme southeastern Texas, maybe another 6 to 10 inches, as well as just offshore Louisiana there. We could see another half a foot of rain plus. Flash flooding potential, 2 spots in the worst threat. We got Galveston and Houston, as well as parts of south central Louisiana and eastern Louisiana, just outside of Lake Pontchartrain. Those are 2 areas that are highlighted in our greatest flash flood risk. But even outside of that, we got in the yellow shading here, we still have a slight threat to see some flash flooding over the next 3 days. All right, then we have our sea surface temperature anomalies, which have been actually falling. Again, due to Sally and Laura. Ocean water has been cooling a little bit in the Gulf of Mexico, but all right, we still have a lot of warm water to contend with here, which is good. But then again, it doesn't matter because the shear is so high. All right, 29 Celsius, northeastern Gulf of Mexico, it's barely at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. We even have some pockets that are starting to drop below 80 now in the Atlantic. So I think the Atlantic is starting to cool off a little bit. I mean, it's the end of September, but it shouldn't be happening this early. Then you got the shear, which again is 25 miles an hour or so, but it will be going up even more over the next few days, so keep that in mind as the storm really weakens. 40 knots of shear here, which is well over 50 miles an hour. But the ocean water temperatures will still be, 29 Celsius, close to 30, which is very good still. Storm speed, not going much, really not going too fast at all. All right, again, I wouldn't say completely stalling, but it'll be moving very, very slow. Heat content is good right now, but like I said, that does help the storm strengthen. But then again, we have the wind shear, which is going to be weakening the storm as well. So you have to keep those 2 battling factors in mind. Again, beta, I'll be showing you the satellite loop, but there's really nothing left of beta. 45 mile an hour winds, 999 millibars of pressure. All right, so even though the pressure seems pretty low, I mean, that's only because that's what's left of the storm, right? There's a lot of energy, but there's just not a lot of convection coming out of this. All right, like look at this on satellite. There's really nothing left of it. All right, you see a little patch of convection. Even that's starting to wear down. So I think things are. Even though rainfall, I agree, rainfall is the biggest threat out of this. I think what we really need to turn our attention to is the wind and the surge threat, because even though the rain may not be present on the satellite imagery, it may not look too obvious that there's a lot of rain, there's still the invisible threat, which is the wind. There's going to be a lot of wind and a lot of surge, especially considering we only have a very, very weak tropical storm. For like normally it should produce like a foot or 2 of surge if it's lucky, but it's ended up producing 2, 3, 4 feet of surge. And I'll explain why later in the video. Now, our low center again is still over water, so at least it'll help it to maintain its strength a little bit, although it's been weakening up until landfall. Model track guidance pretty much brings it through the Mississippi and Tennessee valleys over the next few days. Then you got your GEFS model tracks here, which kind of bring it back over the water. If that was the case, it might help it to strengthen a little bit more, but as you guys can see of what beta has become, the Gulf of Mexico hasn't really been helping this thing strengthen too much in the first place. Our parallel model tracks don't really keep this thing. They really don't take it below 1,005 millibars of pressure. All right. Then we have our intensity guidance, which pretty much only trended down from here back towards a tropical depression, and maybe even soon, maybe even nothing after that. As you can see, here is the center of beta. Okay, and actually the strongest winds are actually on the western side of this. Here's the sustained winds according to the European model. We got 34 mile an hour sustained winds on the western side. Then, if you go to the east side of the storm, the strongest winds I could find were 31. So what that means is more water may actually be taken away from the coast than water that's getting pushed on, because we're not seeing actually the western side of the storm, right? Like the backside winds are actually stronger than the front side winds. The front side winds is what pushes the water onshore. But if we have winds that come in behind that are even stronger, that push the water offshore, there may be less water than there was on the coastline in the first place. All right, but wind gusts, however, are still pretty strong. We're talking about wind gusts of 53 miles an hour, So still, you know, Corpus Christi up through Seadrift, we're still getting a lot of wind reports here. You got some wave heights. Like I said, since the winds on the western side of the storm are so strong, you can notice all the wave heights are west and south of the storm center. On the eastern side, there's not too much wave activity, or not as much, I should say. On the south and the western side, we're picking up 9-foot waves, close to 10. But on the north side, we're only picking up 7. So that's because the wind is kicking up more on the other side of the storm system. But as you guys can see, water temperatures is not a problem. I mean, 84, 85 across the board. I'm sure even if you go to the Gulf Stream here, I'm sure it's actually probably more than that, like close to 86 or 87. All right, so ocean water is not a problem. It never was a problem. Like I said, I think our biggest problem with this has been the shear. That's really been weakening the system. Track from here. Let's actually go to the latest run here. European model kind of has it hanging around, in Louisiana here. By Thursday morning, it will probably start to leave Louisiana, and we can say goodbye officially to beta. But we hit the Greek alphabet, guys. It's been an extraordinary season. Thank you guys so much for watching. Honestly, this probably won't be the last storm of the Atlantic hurricane season, but thank you guys for watching. I am The Weather Dude, signing off till next time. I'll catch you guys in the next video.